Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for another opportunity to live in this beautiful place. And Lord, I also want to thank you for blessing our town with Anthony's and Nino, and just for how much you meant to Bandon. Did so much, Lord, and pray that you would be close to the Zanino family, and Lord, just help them to be comforted by you, and that this town would rally. Father, I pray for this meeting. Thank you for these men and women who are seeking to handle the matters that affect this town. Would you give them wisdom and guidance? That you would just be in every step of this. We invite you. We pray this in Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Now we'll stand for have the Pledge of Allegiance by our Council President, Madeline Seymour.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have several presentations. The first one is Beth Patrick with the Volunteer of the Month.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Councilors, City Manager. The Greater Bandon Association is delighted to announce Sally Glunt as the recipient of our Volunteer of the Month Award, recognizing her exceptional contributions. As a retired nurse, Sally actively applies her nursing skills through volunteer work at the Coast Community Health Clinic and the St. John's Medical Loan Closet. Her commitment to service is evident, having served as the board president of Coast Community Health Clinic for 3 years and maintaining her board membership for a decade. That's a long time. Sally played a pivotal role in the establishment of the Coast Community Health Clinic in Port Orford. Additionally, she has contributed to public health efforts by administering COVID vaccines and providing medical support at Bandon Dunes golf events, offering assistance to both attendees and caddies alike. Sally has been generously volunteering at the St. John's Medical Loan Closet for several years. This unique facility allows individuals to borrow medical equipment for 3 months at no charge. Sally stands out as a nurse, embodying qualities that go beyond the typical. She always demonstrates care, generosity with her time, and a gentle manner. Her dedication and compassionate service have not gone unnoticed. In recognition of her outstanding contributions, she is honored with the Greater Bandon Association Volunteer of the Month Award, a testament to her selfless commitment to improving the well-being of others within our community. Sally is receiving an engraved plaque and a gift certificate to Warehouse Coffee Cafe. Congratulations, Sally.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give this to you. And then I'm gonna take a picture over here.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sally. The next item on the agenda is an Arbor Day proclamation. Is there somebody here to receive this? Because if not, I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to read it. We don't ordinarily read them unless somebody's here to. Okay. The next item is Public Safety Levy. And we've got Commissioner John Sweet, District Attorney Paul Frazier, and Sheriff Gabe Fabrizio. So they'll come up front and one by one, or however you want to do it, Gabe. You're going to talk about the Public Safety Levy.
Please, thank you. I guess I'm the guinea pig.
Yeah, I guess
Good
you're.
morning, Madam Mayor, councilors, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having us. Really, really appreciate it. So we're just here kind of hopefully to answer questions and socialize the idea of this levy. And what kind of started this whole thing was really the county is facing a major shortfall in funds. And we looked at it and really trying to figure out, we've been trying to figure out for a long time how to not only address that issue, but what we can do to increase services really for everybody. And there's a couple, what we're talking about here, why myself and the DAs here is the 2 choke points that affect the whole county, not just Coquille or the unincorporated areas of the sheriff's office. And those are, of course, the jail and the DA's office. So when we were looking at it, and we looked at so many welcomed ideas, and if anybody has any, it's probably not too late, but any ideas how to raise money, save money, find money, to address those shortfalls. And kind of what it came down to is a levy, is crowdsourcing. And it's unfortunate, nobody likes levies, I get that. But with this, it's 98 cents on the thousand, and that's the easy math that we have in here, $200,000 and $300,000 homes. $200,000 home would be about $198 a year. And a $300,000 home, about $296 per year is the increase in taxes. For that, it would, and it is dedicated to the jail, the DA's office, specifically for one whole pod in the jail. Right now, we're at 49 beds, have been for years. In about 3 weeks here, I hate saying it because I don't want to jinx it. We finally got the personnel trained to go to where we've been funded for a long time at 98 beds. And with this, we'll take it that one step further and go another 50% on top of that. And that would be to 147 beds in the jail. I don't know if I need to explain the importance. I don't think I do. We got to stop releasing people. We need to hold them accountable. And that's the idea behind this, is to do that. And I don't want to steal district attorney's thunder, but it'll also give him enough funding for an additional 2 DDAs, and I'll let him explain why that's important. That's really the gist of this. I do want to say, though, that today Governor Kotek, and surprisingly it's not an April Fool's joke, signed into law House Bill 4002-33, and that's the recriminalization of drugs. Super excited for that, because this one, hopefully, as opposed to 110, this one will actually have some utility in getting people into rehabilitation. It's an assumed rehabilitation when we contact them. They go to court, they go to a program, and if they fail out, they go to jail. And that's great, but that's going to take more jail
Right.
space, really. That takes effect 1 September, by the way. So we have a little bit of time. And that's really the gist of it. This doesn't go towards any patrol deputies for me or anything else, just the jail.
Hmm.
So if there's no questions for me, I'll sit down and let the DA talk.
All right, maybe we'll have a question after when all 3 of them have spoken. Thanks,
be here.
Gabe.
Thank you.
Paul? This is the district attorney, Paul Frazier, coming up. 39-year district attorney, who's not running again. Boo.
39 years as a prosecutor,
Oh, okay.
40 come November.
Okay.
And guess I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will. At the last elected DA meeting I went to, they all looked at me and said, we don't think there's been anybody else that's done this for 40 years.
I don't think there is either.
So anyway, I'm coming before you tonight about this levy. I need help. That's basically where we're at right now, is I need help. Last year, according to our case management system, we have 10 police agencies in Coos County that submit police reports to us for prosecution. And according to our case management system, we had 8,895 referrals. Okay, I'm budgeted for 7 deputy DAs and myself. That's 8 people total. No way 8 people can do that amount of work. Compounded with that is the last 3 or 4 years, I've been having difficulties replacing deputy DAs. Coos County traditionally has been a training ground for deputy DAs. We'd get somebody and I get them to where they've been here a couple of years and I'd like to keep them. And guess what happens? They get stolen by another office, or they decide to go in private practice or what have you. Part of that had to do with salaries, and we believe we fixed the salary problem. But I was having issues getting people to apply. Used to be I'd get 15, 16 applications whenever somebody quit. And now we'd go months without any applications whatsoever. So for a long period of time, I've been operating with 4 deputy DAs and myself. We've managed to, this year, correct some of that. I think part of the problem was there was somewhat of a shortage of lawyers in the state. There were more people retiring than were coming into the profession. And I know, as my dad would say, he's a retired state trooper and he doesn't like lawyers. He would say that Well, less lawyers, why is that bad? But I've been able to hire two. I had one that started in February and I'll have one at the start in June, but I'll still be down one. But even at 7 deputies and myself, nearly 9,000 cases, referrals last year, you just can't do it. And that's why I'm here. I'm asking for help because what's happening every day in my office is my people have a stack of intake to do. And what we're doing is triaging stuff.
Right,
And what I mean by that is people or person crimes, crimes where people have been hurt are going to the top of the stack. And property crimes are working their way to the bottom of the stack.
Mhm.
And right now, we have about 1,400 cases that we haven't even had a chance to look at because I just don't have the people to look at. We really need to add more people to the DA's office. As Sheriff Fabrizio mentioned, the county is facing a significant shortfall. And if we don't get the money, what's going to happen is the staffing levels in my office, I'm probably going to lose 2 positions. And I'm going to be to 5 deputies, maybe 6, plus myself or the elected DA come January 1. We're still going to have these problems. What's going on today will not become the norm. The other thing I'd like to talk about is the jail. Granted, we need the people to prosecute these people, but we also need more space in the jail. When I came to work here in 1990, we had a jail, and we still have a jail that has the capacity to hold about 250 people.
Yeah.
We saw, or I saw in my career, when I first came to work here, we'd have an average population of around 160 to 170. I don't think we ever got to a 200, we ever filled it totally to 250 beds. But what happened is that if the judge sentenced you to a certain period of time in jail, you did your time. You didn't get out early for overcrowding.
Right.
If a judge decided that you needed to be held prior to trial and set bail, you didn't get out because of overcrowding. You stayed there unless you paid bail or until your case was completed. Today, what we see is we see people that are being sentenced to time in jail. We have 48, 49 beds to work with. And literally, we're making decisions every day about if I put this person in jail, who's coming out?
Right.
Because somebody's going to have to come out because we're at capacity all the time. Now, 150 beds will be great. Can I promise you that everybody will be held pretrial? No. Can I promise you that everybody will serve their sentences? I hope so. I think we can do it. But we need more jail space. We need more prosecutors. Our system, we need help. And John Sweet's going to talk to you in a minute, but I've heard him say this issue right now is probably the most important issue facing our county right at this moment. And again, as I've said, I've come here tonight. I need help. And I don't know how else to do it other than to get this levy. So I'll let John come up now.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Commissioner John Sweet.
Two really hard acts to
Yeah,
follow.
hard acts.
We are so fortunate to have these two men as part of our public safety system. I'd like to talk a little bit about public safety and the system that it is or requires to work. I know I have often thought, and I know that people still do because they tell me this, that public safety is a policeman on the streets in the city or on the highways in the state or a sheriff's deputy on the roads in the county. It's way more than that. And we share those patrol responsibilities, the state, the county, and the cities. But who is responsible for the rest of the system? Who's responsible for the district attorney's? I mean, that's the only prosecution service we have in the county. The courts, that's a state function, but housed by the county and in large part funded by the county.
Mhm.
After the courts, you have either a jail or parole and probation, which we call community corrections. And then you have juvenile. So I think there's 6 different parts to that whole system. All but one of those is pretty much solely the responsibility of the county.
Yeah.
And we frankly just don't have the money to properly fund all of those. As the sheriff said, we worked hard to identify the choke points so that we could be sure that what we did was the right thing to do and that it was cost effective. And we found, it's pretty evident, didn't take any rocket science to figure it out, that the choke points were the district attorney's office, where we simply don't have the budget to hire the number of people that are required, or in the jail. We have great capacity. If it were a motel, it'd be great. We're 100% occupancy, but that's not exactly what you want. You need to have a room or two available as a deterrent to people that are criminally inclined. There's been some comment made as we've made these presentations around the county. Well, you're doing a lot for the jail. They failed to mention the DA's office, but you're really not helping those people who need counseling. Well, that's not quite right. Our parole and probation system has a lot of counseling. It isn't just punishment. You can have addiction counseling. I don't know what they call it, behavioral help. Lots of good things happen there, but you can't get into parole and probation without first stopping at the district attorney's office and then the courts. You have to be guilty of something to get those services, and they're ample service. We have over 400 people in our parole and probation program right now. That's 8 times the number of people we have incarcerated in jail. So this isn't just a jail. You have to have the district attorney, the prosecution services to get to that point. I would not expect anyone to indulge the county with more tax dollars if they didn't think that the county was a good steward of your money, and it is your money. So I'd like to talk a little bit about that. When I came here 11 years ago, not here in Bandon, a heck of a lot longer ago here, I came here, but as a commissioner, we had $18 million of debt. We incurred after that another $5 million of debt to upgrade our emergency communications radio system so that everyone could talk to everyone else, no matter where you were in the county. Next year, so that's $23 million of debt. Next year, the county will be debt free.
Wow.
In addition to that, when I came, we had almost $8 million of unfunded liabilities because the county had neglected to ever get around to closing the landfills. And state DEQ doesn't like that, and they take matters into their hands and say, you've got to have enough money to correct that problem. Well, their estimate was kind of high, but nonetheless, it was still $7 to $8 million. We took care of that problem and eliminated that entire $7 million of unfunded liability. We still have a $1 million liability. It's fully funded, to monitor the closures of these landfills. Further along the line of, one thing we often hear is, well, with all the money the county has, and our budget is $140 million a year. Incidentally, the revenue we get from property taxes is $6.5 million a year. So the way I like to look at it is that the county in one form or another is getting some $140 million of services. And we're only paying $6.5 million in property taxes. The rest of that comes from, well, the biggest part of that is dedicated funding. An example of that would be our road department is fully supported by gas tax dollars that are collected by the state and returned to the cities and the county. That money can't be used for public safety. Curry County kind of did it, but you're not supposed to. Another example is public health and mental health, fully funded through the government or this federal government by Medicaid dollars. We just can't go out and use that for anything else but that. So people say, well, yeah, certainly you can find enough money to do this. No, we can't. We've worked really hard at it. And the last thing I would say about how I think we're pretty efficient for a county, and a lot of these cuts happened before I came here, but we've maintained them. Wasn't probably 14 years ago that we had 550 employees at the county. Today we're operating with 350. And were it not for a recent buildup in public health and mental health with federal money, we'd probably be under 300. So 550, 300. We don't have a lot of extra talent sitting around. We got a lot of talent sitting around, but we haven't got a lot of extra help sitting around. So everyone's pretty busy to make any cuts. So I encourage you to support this. I think it's, as Paul said, and I'll say it again, this is the most important thing that's come to the county in the going on 11 years that I've served as commissioner. And I urge your support. And really, we need your support and the support of everyone here, because as an elected official and employee, I think there's always a suspicion that all you want is more money. That's not the case. This is a true need that is important to all of us. So I really appreciate your support. The best salespeople we have are not the three of us. It's all of you. So appreciate that. If you have questions, I'll go to the back of the room. You can point out who you want to ask questions if you do.
Thank you, John. Does anybody have any specific questions? We have a handout here, and I think they handed some out too in the audience. If not, I think you did a really good, anybody?
Okay, 2 years ago, didn't you guys try another levy and it was like 46, 48 cents?
Yeah.
So that failed. What makes you think that the 98 cents is gonna work?
It's kind of a wing and prayer, you know.
Okay,
Gabe, come on up here.
Excuse me, I apologize. I don't know that it will. I think we have a good shot. I think most people recognize the benefit, but we don't have any other options.
okay. Maybe have you addressed any of that to some of the concerns? Cause like we've had a problem. We don't have rate setting authority here, and we've tried like 3 times to go out there, and every time we go out there,
Tried
we
9
get beat
times.
70-30 every time.
Wow.
And I mean, it seems to be a foregone conclusion. It's not gonna happen. It's like, I'm sensing if 46 cents, 48 cents, whatever, I'm not too sure 98 cents is gonna be more easy to swallow, but.
Absolutely agree. And it was fairly close last time, but one way we could talk it, and we chose specifically not to, is to focus on the repercussions if it doesn't pass. We really didn't want to do that because we wanted to be positive throughout this whole thing. And that's one message that I've said quite a few times. And no matter what happens, whether it passes or fails, whether our numbers drop or increase, we need 7 more deputies, open another pod, and it would go down depending on what the commissioners gave me. No matter what, we're going to serve the people. But so we don't start, and I haven't even really put out the message yet at all that this is what we're looking at if it doesn't pass. Other than that, and not wanting to do that, it's really just trying to highlight the benefit and hope for the best.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm concerned with, it's only for 5 years.
Yes.
At the end of the 5 years, if it doesn't pass again, do we go back to square one where we gotta lay off people and start shutting the pods down and?
Potentially, and thank you for bringing it up. I forgot to mention it. So two things about that. One, at the end of 5 years, the Commissioner Sweet, when we first started talking, said that this is kind of a proof of service concept. For these 5 years, get to 147 beds, see what the community looks like,
Right.
see the reduction. And hopefully about year 4, we can start talking about a district, public safety district. So it's
Mhm.
enduring. It doesn't have to worry about another 5-year levy. As far as what it would go back to, that's really, I don't know if everybody heard, but the county's been fighting this ONC Timberland Funds thing for decades. And the Supreme Court refused to hear it. They didn't
Right.
even get to them, unfortunately, which was crazy. So what finances are gonna look like in 5 years, I have no idea, but yeah, more than likely, it's just gonna be a reduction.
All right.
Could I add one thing to the 5-year?
Yes, but you have to come up here to speak into the mic.
I'd like to add one comment to the 5-year term of this. Every under measure, I get the numbers all mixed up, measures 5 and
5 and
55,
50.
5 and 50. Each governmental entity has a permanent rate. And you have it forever until we pass away or it ends or the Constitution change. Anything in addition to that, any measure, you can have a bond levy that will extend for the duration of the bond. But any other measure to supplement income and coming from that permanent rate has a time limit of only 5 years. That's all we can do under state law. So it's a nuisance to perhaps have to do that, but it's also a good thing for all of us that are taxpayers because we have to prove that that's working to get it continued.
Right.
So it's not really our choice that we're doing, but it's not a bad deal.
Thank you, John.
Mr. Sweet, I have one question about, do you have some sort of projections for revenue? What this, if it does pass, what is it gonna generate?
Round numbers, about $5 million a year
Okay,
for this,
okay.
and a little over 5, and that would, under the way our tax system works, that would increase each year up to 3%.
3%.
Yeah, and do you have a breakdown of what Coos County is gonna pay versus what Bandon is gonna pay of that $5 million? Do we have an idea of what each municipality is going to be contributing through that 98 cents?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
You just have to look at the assessed value of each one of the communities.
Yeah, you'd have to look at the
Assessed.
assessed value of each one. It wouldn't be hard to get. I can get that. But everyone in the county will share in it. One thing we didn't talk about was, what's that word? Compression.
Compression.
And there's very, very little compression. Outside of the municipalities, there's hardly any compression at all. Inside a few of the municipalities, there is a little compression. If I understand the assessor's office's numbers, it's
Well,
something like 55.
well, for example, Myrtle Point has the highest tax rate in the county at $7.99. And the city's compression loss for last year was $7,500. That is nothing. I mean, it is so small that it isn't even anything to consider. And I think Coquille's compression loss was 7,000. I have it all here, but it's minuscule. So it's not something that is going to be a big factor. In the beginning, we thought maybe it was, but it isn't.
Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you.
She knows this stuff better than I
And
know,
she does.
far and away.
But if we're under compression and everybody else is over compression or those that are over compression, then we're gonna be paying more than others are.
Well, unless you would like to have us pay the $10 tax rate, they're already at $10 a
Right.
thousand, okay, but we're not.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that is a benefit to our taxpayers that we're not at $10. And hopefully we don't get there, because if we do, then somebody has really raised their taxes. But see, we thought compression was going to be a big issue until I called the the assessor's office today to find out what the actual figures are. And they are so small, even for North Bend and Coos Bay, that they aren't even, I mean, it's just a minuscule amount of money. Okay, Paul?
I was just going to follow up on Councilman Powell's question. When we did the levy a couple of years ago, we did not specifically address the DA's office. And part of the reason we didn't at that time was because frankly, the number of cases has dramatically increased in the last couple of years. And why, I don't know. I can take a guess, but my guess is we have a lot of people out there that know that if they get arrested, they're
That's
not
right.
going to jail.
That coupled with ballot measure 110, which brought them into Oregon, and then from Oregon, it brought them into Coos County because we don't have the jail space.
And a follow-up to Councilman Adamson's comment, you will benefit from this because you have cases right now that I'm not able to look at that come from your city. And there are people here that are being sentenced to jail for on a misdemeanor or low-level felony. One stat, so you all understand this. 75% of the people in the state of Oregon that are convicted of a felony do not go to prison. They stay in the community. They go through parole and probation. And that means we need the resources here. And if I can't get people convicted, they don't go to parole and
Right.
probation. And that's the other thing, John didn't mention it, parole and probation, they're primarily funded by the state, but it's based on the number of people they're supervising. So if I can't get people over there for them to be supervised, then their ability goes down. It's a three-legged stool that we're,
And that's where the recidivism, I can't pronounce that word,
Right.
but the people who are released and back on the streets committing crime before the police officer can get back to town. And that's what's happened here is we've become a revolving door.
and so we need help.
You're right.
And I don't know what else to do.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your efforts, you and John and Gabe. All right, we're gonna have to move on here, so the next item is the consent agenda, consent calendar.
Second.
Been moved by Peter and seconded by Brian to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Okay,
How's that for moving on?
that's moving on. Thank you. I guess, all right, city council, new and old business. Now, under new and old business, in the past, the city, under our council rules, the city has historically allowed people to, we are not required to allow the public to speak except under public comments. But for many years, and certainly the 20 years that I've been mayor, we have always allowed the public to weigh in on any of the new or old business, and we are going to continue doing that as long as I'm the mayor. So if anybody wants, you'll still have time limits, just like we ask everybody if you're going to come up and talk, unless it's a regular presentation, we'll ask you to stay within the 3-minute timeline. But if there's any of these, whether it's recreational vehicles or anything else that you want to talk about, that's fine. It's up to the mayor. According to the charter, it's up to the mayor, and that's my decision. All right, so the next item is request by Coos Health and Wellness on behalf of Coos County for the city to enter into a memorandum of understanding for use of the Bandon Community Center as a satellite WIC clinic. Tori?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This request of the City Council is to permit the county's health and wellness program, commonly referred to as the WIC, to provide satellite clinic services for low-income individuals with children under the age of 5. So the WIC provides needed assistance to parents with children. And what they're requesting is the city to enter into an MOU. It would be good through the end of the calendar year, ending December 30th. Or 31st. And with that, they are also requesting authorization to occupy one room. And that would be every second Friday of the month between the hours of 8:45 and 3 o'clock. This was administratively approved on a temporary basis since the beginning of the year. And staff who has overseen this project has reported that they have not witnessed any adverse impacts to the operation or the facility. So with that, we are recommending that the council authorize the city manager to enter into an MOU with the county for this satellite clinic.
And Mayor, I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding MOU captioned as follows. Request by Coos Health and Wellness on behalf of Coos County for the city of Bandon to enter into a memorandum of understanding for the use of the Bandon Community Center as a satellite WIC clinic.
Second. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by, I didn't hear who seconded.
Jerry.
Jerry. I guess I have a question before we vote. Is there any fee here? There's nothing here to address any cost.
That's correct. They're asking for the city to provide in-kind contributions because of the benefit that they provide to the community.
Okay.
This is a new satellite clinic, or this satellite clinic has been going on for?
It's my understanding that it has been going on for quite some time. We've had staff members that have benefited from this in the past. And so it's something that has been around. They're just going through the proper channels to obtain the required approvals through the MOU.
And they have been meeting at the barn.
Correct.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So do I hear all those in favor? Opposed? Okay. The record show it approved. Okay, the next item is 4.2, resolution 24-03 to award the landscape and maintenance contract.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. The city has been without a landscape contractor since January of this year. That has resulted in the Public Works Department circulating an RFP for services. The city received on February 21st, 2 responsive bids. One was submitted by Seabreeze Landscape Care and Home Repair for a total of $68,000 per year. And the other was submitted by Clean Rivers for $94,000 per year. In light of reviewing the qualifications for both of the respondents, city staff is recommending that the contract be awarded to Seabreeze Landscape Care and Home Repair in the amount of $68,000 per year, with the provision that if additional work beyond the scope of the contract is requested by the city, that be at a cost of $70 per man hour to complete the work. So again, with that, city staff is recommending the council authorize city staff to enter into an agreement or contract with Seabreeze Landscape Services and Home Repair. That includes my presentation.
Look.
I make a motion to accept all proposals.
Can you turn on your microphone, Madeline?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the proposals submitted.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Peter, that we accept the proposals. All in favor? And I guess I have a question. Is $70 an hour? Now that would be just for the standard worker that's there doing that does seem high.
No, that's. for
No.
the-
Is that all right?
That's
the
for
going
whole
rate.
company.
No,
You're
oh, it's-
getting $25 an hour.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that your understanding?
My understanding is that if there's any work required above and
Extra.
beyond, it would be at $70 per hour.
Anything out of
And
the
that
scope of
would
their contract.
Likely be.
Yeah,
a
I
free
know,
win.
but it just seemed like that was kind of, okay.
What was the city paying to the previous?
I don't know.
36.
That's what I wondered too.
36, I think.
$36?
No,
I'd
36,000
have
a
to
year.
defer to perhaps June would know that.
Yeah, per year.
36.5 per year, and now it's up to 68,
Yep.
and an additional $70 an hour.
Outside the scope, so like if we had to go take a tree down that isn't in the scope of what their contract is, then it would be $70 an hour for however many workers they need to work. It's not just. for-
Okay, so was there a stipulation like that in the previous contract?
Yes.
And how much was it?
I'm not 100.
So this isn't that out of line then, okay, it just seems high to me, but
Right. I make a motion to approve resolution 24-03, selecting and authorizing an agreement with Seabreeze Landscape Services and Home Repair to perform landscaping services for the city of Bandon.
been moved by Madeline, seconded by Brian, that we accept this, I don't have it right here, Seabreeze Landscape. All in favor? I do, approved. I do have one question under Clean Rivers. He said, please be advised that we have contacted the city of Bandon in regards to prevailing wage inquiries, but unfortunately, we have not received a response. Do you know who might have gotten that inquiry or why we wouldn't have responded?
June seems to know the answer to that.
The microphone, I make everybody else go to the microphone.
Yes. So they emailed to Denise Russell, who's the utility manager. At that time is when she was out with the flu and nobody got the emails. But as soon as she returned, she answered all their questions.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 24-05, the Bandon City Council amending the rainy day fund policy by implementing a clearer methodology for the general fund contribution. Tori?
Yes, thank you. The city council authorized staff to establish a policy to generate rainy day funds in an effort to ensure that the city maintains adequate funding to provide essential city services if in the future the city's revenue sources were below what was projected. The current policy specifies that 50% of the general fund revenue determined to be unappropriated as of May of each year be transferred and assigned to the rainy day fund. After its incorporation and implementation, staff has realized that logistically, it's very difficult to do that because the budget is still active and one would be guessing to determine what the unappropriated general fund revenue would be at the end of the fiscal year. So with that, staff is proposing an amendment to the policy that would allow for 5% of the unexpended general fund revenue that remains at the end of the fiscal year be assigned to the rainy day fund. And for fiscal year 2024, 25, that would amount to approximately $135,000 of unexpended general fund revenue at 5%. So with that, it allows us to implement a very clear methodology for assigning funds. And it relies on accurate factual data versus guesstimates that would have been projected otherwise. That includes my presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Seems like it's a much more streamlined way to do it. Okay, Madam Mayor, I make a motion to adopt resolution number 24-04, which is captioned as follows. A resolution of the city of the Bandon City Council amending the rainy day fund policy by implementing a clear methodology for the general fund contribution.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Nobody wants to second.
Moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, that we adopt resolution number 24-04. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, the next one is resolution 24-05, allowing recreational vehicles as temporary housing. Oh,
There
she
she
is? Oh,
is.
there she is. Okay.
Dana.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't be there. I'm feeling under the weather and I didn't want to infect you. So I'm
Thank you.
reporting from home. But so this item is a renewal of the existing resolution that we have in place allowing recreational vehicles as temporary housing. Our last resolution said that we would come back in April and review it again and see if we wanted to keep it in place. Our recommendation to you is that if you would like to have it remain in place, that it automatically renews every 6 months or just in perpetuity until the city council wants to change it or remove it or do something else, but just so we don't have to keep coming back every 6 months.
Good idea.
And Dana, I noticed in your report here, it says what, there's only two that have
Three, I
taken,
think it's three.
2 or 3 that have done this? Taken-
Yeah, there aren't many many folks who are taking advantage of it. So we did talk internally about whether or not to keep renewing it. But I think for those who are taking advantage of it, it is helpful. Again, it's only for existing single family residential units for people that have an RV, someone occupying the RV like in their backyard and sort of hidden away. So we do have other folks who are occupying RVs as part of a construction permit or as part of a property maintenance permit. Those would be separate from this particular resolution.
And of those two or three that have taken advantage of our this program, have any of them gotten or applied for a permit to hook up to sewer and water?
I don't believe so. June might, no, yeah, so no one has. They're all fully self-contained.
Oh, okay. All right. Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2405, allowing recreational vehicles as temporary housing.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh, that we adopt resolution 24-05. All in favor? Unanimous. Now we're on to public hearings. Public hearing items are required to be duly noticed and are subject to public comment. First one is ordinance 1663, a public hearing for amendments to chapter 2.18 of the Bandon Municipal Code and providing an effective date. Tori, are you giving us a background to this, or?
This will be Dana who's reporting remote.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's me. I think now we're on to the Dana portion.
Right.
So thank you. This is a portion of the Bandon Municipal Code that regulates our Committee for Citizen Involvement. Historically, this has been a committee that's made up of city councilors, planning commission, other city commissions, and members at large. When I first got here in 2016, we didn't have a CCI. We had investigated at the time making the planning commission the CCI. That didn't happen. We tried to bring it back earlier, I believe in 2021. Just with the few number of staff that we have in the planning department, it's just becoming increasingly difficult to manage the number of committees that we have. And we feel like we would be more successful using the planning commission as the CCI. In talking to the folks at the Department of Land Conservation and Development, they've suggested that planning commissions that meet as the CCI are successful when they do similar to what you guys do with your urban renewal board, where you adjourn the meeting into a meeting of the urban renewal agency. We would propose doing the same thing with our planning commission. We did receive 2 public comments on the matter, and I just want to address that we are actually hoping to do more now that the Planning Commission, or if the Planning Commission becomes the CCI than we were doing previously. We do have a public outreach event scheduled for the summer to show the film An Oregon Story and have a sort of town hall-esque meeting. So we are hoping to have more community involvement rather than less. So this particular ordinance would amend the Bandon Municipal Code to make the Planning Commission act as the CCI. And then we've also applied for funding for a rare AmeriCorps member. And part of their role would be updating the city's comprehensive plan and Goal 1 to sort of modernize it and to ensure that we're continuing to implement and enforce our Goal 1 policies. So please let me know if you have any questions, but we would recommend that you hold a public hearing, allow for any public comments, and then adopt the ordinance as presented.
Okay. We'd ask our city attorney to, now, do we,
Don't you have to open the hearing?
well, I'm looking at, there's no
There's no
script here.
script. I mean, it's just it would be.
So if anybody here in the audience wishes to address this, let me know, raise your hand, or maybe you've already signed up.
Nope.
Okay, then I think we ask the city attorney to read ordinance 1663 by title only.
There wasn't anyone on Zoom who wanted to comment. Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is ordinance 1663, an ordinance amending chapter 2.18 of the Bandon Municipal Code, Committee for Citizen Involvement, and providing an effective date.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve, or don't I? To approve.
To approve ordinance.
Before we pass it to second.
No, we
reading,
have to go
right?
to second vote. To pass to second reading?
Yeah, I make a motion to pass ordinance 1663 to the second reading.
I'll second that. Been seconded by Jerry, and we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Aye. Let the record show that it has been passed to second reading. Now we'll have it read again by title only.
Thank you. This is ordinance 16.6 or 1663, an ordinance amending chapter 2.18 of the Bandon Municipal Code Committee for Citizen Involvement and providing an effective date.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Jerry, and we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes.
Let the record show ordinance 1663 has been adopted. Next item is the continuation of the public hearing, ordinance 1665 for a heavy industrial code amendment and comprehensive plan update for planning action 23-055. Dana, I guess you're on.
Yeah, that's me again. Thank you. So this is a continuation of an item that we presented on at last month's meeting. There was some concern about whether or not the public hearing was noticed properly. So we did continue the hearing to allow for additional time for public comment. Excuse me, we did not receive any. I don't have anything further to report, but we do request that you will open the public hearing, allow for any additional comment from folks who are in the audience or on Zoom, close the hearing, and then make the motion. Shayla is there to help if you have any procedural questions.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this issue? Jeff? Nobody?
Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom? Okay,
Okay.
then I'm asking the city attorney to read ordinance 1665 by title only.
I believe that you would first need to close the public hearing.
Okay.
And there's no comment.
So next time I'd really appreciate a script. I know I say this every time, but it's so much easier if I have a script. So we will close the public hearing and then, and the council can deliberate or they can make a motion, correct?
Correct.
I make a motion to, doesn't she have to read it by title only first?
That's what I waited. Well, wait a minute, we're waiting to read by title only.
Okay. This is ordinance 1665, an ordinance amending the heavy industrial zone code and comprehensive plan and providing an effective date.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve ordinance 1665 to a second vote, a second reading.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline, seconded by Josh to move ordinance 1665 to a second reading, and we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes.
And now we will have it read again as we move to adopt.
This is ordinance 1665, an ordinance amending the heavy industrial zone code and comprehensive plan and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 1665.
Second.
Been moved by Madeline and seconded by Josh to adopt ordinance 1665. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
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 Aye.
Yes.
Let the record show that ordinance 1665 has been adopted.
Think we're there.
Okay, now we're going into urban. Is there anything from the urban
Any
renewal?
public comments?
Now we're at public comments, and I believe a number of people have signed up. Do you just call the?
So the first place to have a comment is Darcy.
And we ask that you stick into 3 minutes if possible. Thank you. We don't have to give address anymore, just your name.
My name is Darcy Grayhook. Hello, Mayor Shammerhorn and city councilor members. I know you've received my letter, but for public record, we are an informal assembly of people that I'm representing. Local folks who are really dedicated to activities related to restoration of habitat in both rural and urban settings. You may have seen us outdoors at Johnson Creek Greenway, planting to increase diversity in the wildlife hedgerow, or at City Park during the Plant 100 Trees event a few years ago. Our work has included painting murals or hanging art related to pollinators or natural habitat. This community of people always turns out as the most extraordinary volunteers doing what they can, planting and mulching in the name of elevating good pollinator and songbird habitat. We have seen many projects through, and there are certainly, we are very much a part of the fabric of Bandon's population. Our cooperative group has several shared values. One is that wildlife habitat, especially for pollinators and birds, is critical to the environmental health of our city and surrounding areas. A second shared value is that humans can enjoy these same areas in ways that are low impact to the wildlife mentioned. An important third shared value is that people interested in learning about or enjoying native species plants, including wildflowers, need somewhere to have a place to go to gather for educational purposes. We also believe that ecotourism is an area of growing revenue for our region as people journey here to see birds and enjoy wildflower or native plant hikes. We would like to do a presentation to the council at a council meeting and introduce you to one version of a habitat we hope will evolve at Johnson Creek Greenway. And in fact, it already has a pretty good start. While these habitat volunteers and participants are not visible as a formal group, they are all stakeholders in this community. Each person has a unique relationship to this place called Johnson Creek Greenway along the Beach Loop Drive. Nothing is being requested from the city other than permission to gather during the appropriate season and continue adding diverse native species plants to the existing hedgerow. Please invite us to present to you more about this at a future council meeting. You have my contact information in the letter, and thank you for your consideration of our aspirations at Johnson Creek Greenway. I had a bunch of people that did not sign, but this is the ones that signed. So Darcy Grayhack, Donna Leverage Campbell, Beth Dormandy, Olivia Deathless, Tatiana Havel-Afetati. So I keep going. Nora Lyman, Rose McLean, Mike Grayhack, Pat Dressendorf, Lynn Jackson, Julia Christopherson, Andrea Burke, Lori Friedman, Vicky Aftati, William Ferrer, Samantha Stanger, Mark Havel, Deb Holder, Alan Williams. And each of these people is probably connected to another group of people. So thank you for your time
Thank
and
you,
your
Darcy.
consideration.
Darcy, I want to ask you a
Yeah.
question. Do you guys notify the city or ask permission from the city when you go out there and plant on public
Yes.
property? You do?
I've walked it many times with Public Works. I've walked it with the tribes. I've walked it with the planner back when Dennis Lewis was doing.
Well, I just was wondering if you check in with the city before you go out and arbitrarily do all this.
Oh, of course. I would
I
never
didn't know.
dream of that. Yeah.
Okay.
We invited counselors one time, but I think, Peter, you were the only one that showed up. And it was,
Schedule conflicts.
yeah, I'm sure. So anyway, any other questions or thank you for your time.
Who's next? And rather than read your letters too long, and we do encourage you that if you have given us a letter and you know we had it, then hit the high points of your letter and not. Huh?
Great.
Good, thank you. That's what I was trying not to. Yeah, we don't need to have it read if we have it in our packets. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do for Bandon. I'm Julia Christopherson. I wrote a letter about the city's property at Johnson Creek that's been included in tonight's agenda packet. It's a heartfelt letter about the highly successful care and preservation of natural places and living things that I've witnessed in my lifetime as a native Oregonian. I include Johnson Creek among those successes. For the last couple of years, I've participated in Green Friday events at Johnson Creek. At these events, we plant native plants and care for the ones planted in previous years. Green Friday is the highlight of my holiday season. The City of Bandon, Friends of Bandon Parks, and Stillwater Natives Nursery have all been instrumental in supporting Green Fridays at Johnson Creek. I've appreciated the city's support very much so that I could be a part of these events. And I extend my gratitude to everyone here tonight who's helped make these events possible. I watched the recording of the last regular city council meeting and I heard from our mayor about an idea that Johnson Creek become once again a 9-hole municipal golf course. I had previously heard at a Parks Commission meeting that Johnson Creek was in the city's comprehensive plan as a greenway park intended to be managed as a natural area. Therefore, I feel confused about Johnson Creek's future. I am joined by others here tonight to advocate that Johnson Creek continue to be a city park natural area. I am eager to help in whatever way I can for the benefit of Johnson Creek. With the vision that Johnson Creek be held securely in the comprehensive plan as a natural area, my request of the city is that there be clear, transparent communication through a co-creative process between area residents and the city about Johnson Creek's future. Surveys indicate that area residents support Johnson Creek as a Greenway Park natural area. With what remaining time I have left, I'd enjoy simply listening to thoughts or fielding questions.
Yeah, I wanted to make one comment. As being the town historian, of course, I've been here 84 years, so I do have a little background. You say, from my perspective, Coquille Point is Bandon's most iconic landmark. It is beyond my ability to comprehend if that area had been developed and not made available for public enjoyment, how vastly different all of Bandon would feel as a result. Of course, before the fire, there was the one of Oregon's largest dance halls was out there, the Silver Spray Gardens. The natatorium swimming pool was out there, and along with the natatorium, there were 12 cottages, and there were also the Queen Anne cottages. So it was a very heavily developed area. And the only thing that changed that was the Bandon fire. So it's historically, it was a very, very well-developed area.
Well, and I so appreciate, you
That
know,
nobody came
finding
back
these
and built.
pieces of information. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any-
My concern with having that a park or anything for that matter is, one issue that's not been addressed is parking.
Right.
There's
access.
no parking.
There's no
So,
access.
I mean, if you're all serious about having a park, we need some, information about what we can do to create parking out there so people can enjoy it, because as it is right now, there's no access.
Right.
No. So it's true. And what I heard at the Parks Commission meeting is this is a long-range co-creative effort that we will all be involved in if this is to come to acceptance as a Greenway Park, as a secure Greenway Park. And it was Dana who said first would be a conceptual plan and next would be a comprehensive plan, and that would all take time. But my awareness is because it was once a golf course, people had to park somewhere.
Yes, but they sold all the parking off.
Okay.
The golf course the parking was up on the hill, and they sold that parking. We didn't, well, when we bought it, we were not able to buy that. And also the clubhouse was sold off, so.
Yeah, and these are all great questions and don't have answers. I just have a passion for the land, and I feel that it is a really, really significant asset for our area.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Joan, do we have somebody?
William? Please get your name correct.
Hi, my name is William Ferrer. Johnson Creek Greenway is a hidden jewel in Bandon. I only realized it existed about 2 years ago. I've worked now a number of times as a volunteer, along with many others, led by Darcy Grayheck, in planting native species, including plants which attract pollinators. There is a growing awareness in this community, as well as across the country, of the danger to wildlife and our ecosystem by the loss of animal habitat and biodiversity. The creatures that share this area, birds, bees, deer, squirrels, and so many others, are an important part of Bandon's beauty and health. Johnson Creek is an oasis for so many animals and insects that have lost their homes due to human development. Beach Loop is of course gorgeous. It's a lovely area to have a home. However, a healthy balance is needed. People need the vast beaches as well as the quiet places to look upon and mark the changes of every season in the trees, in the flowers, in the critters. I am a part of a group called Earth Love Inspiration, which has been sharing stories, songs, and poems with children at the youth center, local schools, and area libraries since 2019. To encourage awareness and appreciation by our young people and their families of the wonderful world of nature that surrounds us. Johnson Creek is potentially an open classroom for a hands-on experience with the changing of the seasons and an understanding of natural environments and the world that these kids will inherit. I've come to understand that more and more people in all parts of our country want to know more and do more about helping preserve natural spaces and native habitats. Ecotourism may be, excuse me? Okay, I'll be done. Ecotourism may be something that will draw tourists to Bandon and let them know how much those who live here are committed to maintaining all of our natural treasures and not only the wondrous beaches. It has been heartening to be meeting with others who want to see Johnson Creek return to a more natural state by continuing to plant native species which provide sanctuary for native pollinators and animals and helps restore biodiversity. With the efforts of volunteers and the support of this city, Johnson Creek can be an incredible asset to humans and animals alike. I urge this city council to simply allow and support the citizens and area residents to continue the restoration that has been going on for some years now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Consideration.
Thank you.
Donna?
Yes, hi, I'm Donna Leverage Campbell, and I'm just be really brief here, but in the last almost 50 years that I've been living here, I've seen a lot of development, of course. We all know that. I'm not saying that we don't want any development, but in that process, we've lost a lot of natural habitat, of course. And I would just like to encourage the city council and staff and folks here, community members, to recognize the value of as much natural habitat as we can manage to restore. And I'd like to see that happen. And there's a good start at the Johnson Creek Greenway. So I'd really like to encourage everybody to let that happen and let it become as much of a wildlife place of restoration as possible.
Thank you, Donna.
My name is Malaya McLean, and I just want to point out that there's a movement going on across the country called Homegrown National Park, and it's definitely gaining the momentum. And so, what's happening in Johnson Creek Park Greenway can be a part of that movement of people who are understanding across the country the importance of restoring biodiversity and supporting the pollinators through planting native plants, and the interaction between native plants and pollinators, that they are specific to the pollinators can only eat and reproduce on certain plants. And if those plants aren't here, then those pollinators aren't here either. And our entire system needs both, needs the plants, it needs the pollinators in order to provide the food and everything that we need to live healthfully. So,
thank you.
yeah.
Hello, I'm Andrea Burt. I began teaching in Oregon, born in Oregon, on the Oregon coast. And I returned 2 years ago to retire and to end my teaching career and begin my second passion, which is caring for the earth and being a steward of native plants. So I was so happy and delighted to meet this group of people who became my friends and my companions on working at Johnson Creek and in the parks. I also work part-time for the school district and now have a gardening club and are teaching the children once again in that beautiful greenhouse about starting and growing plants. So I very much support this movement to keep Johnson Creek as an educational and wildlife greenway. And also Malaya, I obviously didn't prepare any comment. She said, you have to get up and tell people about Homegrown National Park. So I encourage all of you to go online and look it up because it's just a couple years old. It is a North America continental movement for communities to restore and save green spaces and understand and teach their youth how important that is. So it's Homegrown National Park. There's a short video called What's the Rush? By Douglas Talley, who is a very geeky entomologist person, but he really does explain it very clearly and will open up a new avenue of understanding about why we are all so passionate about this Greenway National, or this Greenway Park being part of Homegrown National Park. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak?
Okay. If not, we'll move into the city manager comments.
I've nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Council comments. Brian
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Evans.
Nothing for me, thank you. And thank you for coming.
Well, my condolences to the Zunini family. It was sad to hear of Anthony's passing. Hope everybody had a good Easter. And can't think of anything else. No,
I'm sorry, are you finished?
I'm done.
I thought so. Uh,
You guys.
I'd just like to thank Sally as our volunteer of the month again. And if she's here in town, give her a attaboy.
I'm good.
All right, then if we have nothing else on the agenda, I guess and we do appreciate, we like to see a big crowd of people. Too often, we just have our faithfuls in the front row there and we don't have anybody else. So it's nice to see as many people as we're here tonight. Thank you.
Can we, do we have an urban renewal? Or we adjourn?
Not on the agenda. and I thought it would be, but it's not.
Well,
It was, but it got passed over. It was like urban renewal and then public comment.
Oh, urban renewal work session.
but there wasn't
Yeah.
any.